The autumn storms have arrived down here in Cornwall, and for the last 2 or 3 weeks there's been 25 to 45 mile-an-hour winds with big seas and big swells, and this has made it impossible for me to get out on the kayak. This is the time of year for me to dig out the bass rod and head down to the beach to do a bit of surf bass fishing, which I'm going to do today. It's very, very calm today with no winds. However, due to what's out at sea, there's still enough to kick up a nice little surf running, which you can see. And this is actually ideal as far as I'm concerned for bass fishing. I don't particularly want it very, very rough, but just a nice steady surf coming in, which is great. The only problem with this beach is weed. Sometimes it can be totally impossible. At the moment, looking at the breakers, it looks like it's pretty clear, so I'm hopeful that I'm not going to have a weed problem. I fished this beach for the last 30 years, and it tends to fish best 3 hours either side of low water. It's a small cove. There's rocks to the left and rocks to the right, and it has a freshwater river running into it, which is said to attract bass. There's strong currents to the left and the right of this beach, and there's a lot of hidden features, little gullies and little troughs. Doesn't tend to produce big bass. The biggest bass I've ever had off of this beach in the last 30 years is 5 pound. However, you know, it is quite productive for keepers. Bass that are over the legal size limit in Cornwall of 37.5 centimetres. There is, of course, the undersized bass, which have to go back, but there are a lot of keepers. Personally, I have my own personal size limit of 40 centimetres, so anything under that goes back, and also any bass of 5 pound and over I also put back. So, let's say a nice steady surf coming in here at the moment, which looks great. Slightly overcast day, so I'm hopeful. Tackle I'm using today is a 12-foot 2 to 4 ounce bass rod. It's a very, very light rod. Personally, when I'm bass fishing, I love to hold the rod and feel for the bites. Others like to put the rod in a rod rest, and that's fine, so it's just a personal thing. The reel is a 6,500C, Abu 6,500C multiplier. It's loaded with 15 pound mono and a 40 pound leader. On this beach, leads of more than 4 ounces are very rarely needed, hence only the 40 pound leader. The trace is just a straightforward, simple, fixed paternoster with a short trace. I find the short trace works better in the surf and the less tangles. And as the bass seem to take quickly in the surf, I don't feel the need for a long trace. Hook is just a 5.0 Varivas big mouth hook. So very, very simple rig. Distance casting is not required here, so it's just a flapper. It's not clipped down, because if the bass are here, they're usually within 20 to 80 yards, so distance casting is not required. Bait today, I'm using razorfish, otherwise known as razor clam. Very underrated bait, but it's got an absolutely fantastic scent, and I've caught an awful lot of bass with it, and also use it for gilt head bream in the summer. It's a soft bait, so it's not easy to work with, but I tend to bind it with bait elastic, cut it to size, and then thread it on the hook, and then bind it with bait elastic again, and then it stays on the hook fine. So, it's a very, very easy bait to keep. It freezes well, so therefore it's convenient. When you want your trip, you can just go to the freezer and pick out the bait, and off you go. Most people tend to use ragworm or lugworm or peeler crab, which are fine. They're also fantastic baits, but I find the razorfish, one, it's cheaper if you have to buy it. Two, it's very convenient if you need to just to go for a quick trip. It's in the freezer there and ready to go. Okay, so hopefully we'll get something today, and we'll go and give it a go. It's about half hour before low water now, and I've had the first bass. It could of course be the only fish of the day, but it's really pleasing to at least get something. So this one, although it's legally over the size limit, it's under my size limit of 40 centimetres, so I'm going to get this one back and rebait up and hope to get one a little bit bigger. That was the only bass of the day, but really pleasing to get one bass. Had a couple of bites that never materialised. Still a nice surf coming in here, but it's getting beyond the point of the tide now where this beach produces fish. So, plus also starting to pick up a lot of the weed, which you can see here that was left from the previous tide. So I'm going to call it a day, but as said, really pleasing to catch something, if not big enough as far as I'm concerned, for the dinner table. No doubt about it in my mind, kayak fishing for bass is far more productive. Trolling a plug or casting lures over shallow rough ground on the drift is far more productive and more likely to produce better quality fish. But that said, still really pleasing to get out and do some fishing when you can't get out on the kayak due to the state of the sea, and had a really good day and pleased to catch something. So thanks for watching.